Southend-based band Whom by Fire first appeared on this show back in July to discuss how they were cancelled from the Lee Folk Festival, apparently for questioning the sexualisation of children in schools online. That appearance itself has had repercussions, though, and the band then found themselves cancelled by a church where they were due to perform an evening of music. So here to tell me more, I'm joined by band members Eliza Mells and Dan Halamandres and their friend and promoter, Nathan Duquette. I'm going to come to Whom by Fire first. Now, you were on the show in July, and you explained what happened, but maybe just explain again. You were supposed to perform at the Lee Folk Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, and we were informed that due to social media comments that we weren't going to be welcome there. And
but they weren't specific. You were raising concerns about the sexualisation of children in schools, right?
Yeah, it was. I raised a particular concern about a certain book reading that Southend Pride were promoting, which advocated for paedophilia. It wasn't an over-18s event. I thought it was a fair enough thing to question.
Yes.
And nobody's denied that that's what it was about.
My understanding is that you had seen some previous posts by one of the organisers which suggested a kind of tolerance for that kind of thing, and you were criticising it, right? And that's
essentially that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's wrong with that? Would be the
Love
first
to
question.
know. Love to know that.
Well,
if anyone knows.
But did they? And then they just cancelled the gig, right? Did they tell you? Did they give you a solid reason?
No, just went against their ethics.
How? I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
I think it was because they were inclusive.
They were being inclusive. So it sounds to me like the kind of situation where they don't really understand what you were tweeting about, and they thought you were just attacking that particular event, something like that. But even if you were, we do live in a society where we do have free speech. We can express views that people disagree with. That should be okay, shouldn't it?
It should be okay.
I think so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you weren't able to play. Then you came onto this show, and then they were annoyed about that. And so who cancelled you this time?
A church.
A church?
A local church that we've played at before, who've welcomed us with open arms, and this
So what
time...
does it, what, am I the Antichrist or something? What's going on here? This is ridiculous. So Nathan, you were involved in this. Well, they tried to... You're a singer-songwriter as well.
Yep.
You've performed together, but you were organising an event, and these same activists contacted you, is that right?
So I had a few messages back and forth, which I chose to ignore.
Yes.
Basically saying either cancel the gig or remove my friends from the lineup. It was us guys.
You were sharing the bill.
So I put the night on. I asked Whom by Fire to come and play because they're amazing. And the pressure was put on to say either remove them and just do the night on your own or cancel the gig. I chose to ignore. They went to the venue. The venue said nothing, as they should.
So did they come to you because they feel, because you're a trans person, they thought you might share the animosity against them? Is that maybe what it was about?
I think they were probably trying to put me in a position, their pride. I might fit into one of their letters, and so as such they wanted to share the same views as me, and that's not what I felt was right.
That's kind of the problem that I feel. You know, I'm constantly told I'm part of this LGBTQI community, so therefore I must agree with everything that everyone else says. But we're all individuals within that, and we all disagree on stuff, and that's fine, right?
Exactly. It's like if we're going to cancel everyone with an opposing view, all of us would be cancelled.
Well, of course.
So,
but also, in terms of artistry, I mean, you're all musicians. Now, I know quite a lot about the history of the arts and music, and there are a lot of really bad people, really bad artists who produced incredible work. Should we really be policing the moral views of the people who produce art?
No.
Well, it's a simple question and a simple answer.
Yeah, sorry, but that's...
But why do you think this has happened? Why is this going on at the moment? Any thoughts? It's a big question.
It is a big question.
Nathan, do you have any ideas?
I have a feeling social media might play a little role.
Really?
That's my opinion, yeah.
Well, it does seem to get people riled up, doesn't it? Yeah. Have you had any problems with social media? People gone after you since this thing happened?
I think I was compared to Hitler.
You were compared to Hitler? Dan, that's nothing. I mean, I get that every day. It doesn't mean anything. But did they give you any sense of why appearing on this show in particular would disqualify you from performing at a church?
Well, we've had a few things this week, actually, just that GBNews is far right.
Far right, yes.
I mean, that's news to me, and I work here.
So we have to disassociate ourselves from GBNews as a result of
I think supporting anti-trans, anti-woke, which I support, actually.
But I mean, that's just a misunderstanding of what's... I mean, this is often the case, that a lot of activists make a decision about what's going on the channel, and then they just say that, but it doesn't bear any relation to what actually happens on the channel. We have discussions and open debate, and I think that's what they're probably afraid of, isn't it? When they emailed you, what sort of tone did they take? Was it a kind of demanding tone, or was it just a polite request?
I would say it was quite demanding, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And what would they have been happy with then? Just for you to capitulate, I suppose?
Just to do what they were asking me to do, which again is making me a yes man.
Yes.
I'm kind of not happy to sit and do that.
And so you just your strategy was to ignore,
yeah.
rather than do anything else. Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
But that's probably the way to do it, isn't it? Yeah, that's great. Do you have any recourse? Because presumably this is a private venue. You know, I suppose they get to decide who performs at their venue. Is there anything you can do? Is there anyone you can complain to?
Yeah, we are making complaints, and we're talking to the church as well.
Yes.
We're going to be in communication with them quite heavily on this matter, because I think the whole church thing, for me personally, has cut deeper than the Lee Folk Festival.
Really?
Because,
why is that?
Yeah, I was brought up in a Christian household. I've been a Christian for many years.
Yes.
And so the fact that this has happened from, you know, a church.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the God that I'm kind of used to that
I understand. Well,
is doing this. It's
But it doesn't sound very inclusive, if
No,
I may say,
it's
if I
quite
may use their
opposite.
word.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting, you know, if you want me to talk to them, it'd be interesting to see what they think is far right about me or the station, given I've never even voted Tory. I don't know how they would. I don't know how they would square that, really. Have you any thoughts of why they've got this sense in their head of?
It angers me. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said about inclusion, right? We're now excluding people under this guise of including people. And for the church to do that says a lot.
Have you found has this happened to you before, or have you had any sense that this is happening more in the industry? Because it did happen to Roisin Murphy, for instance, when she posted something on her private Facebook page. It wasn't even for public consumption, and then it was largely attacked and misinterpreted and all the rest of it. Is this a broader problem within music?
I think it is going to become more of a problem. It seems like it's on the up, and not in a good way.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, I do hope you're able to get through it and do something more. Tell me a bit about your music and what you do.
Yeah, well, it's obviously very political. Not in the slightest. It's all about love, redemption, freedom.
That sounds quite controversial to me.
All of our gigs, everyone is actually welcome as well.
They are.
And, you know,
welcome.
nobody is normally injured or hurt at them.
But that's the strange idea, isn't it? This idea that if someone doesn't agree with you about something, it's essentially harmful to even be in their presence. That's the odd thing.
That's awful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And is this I mean, the church hasn't got a great track record if you go back centuries. You know, we could potentially cancel them, you know. I'm just saying, I don't want to give anyone ideas, but I think that's possible. And what I would love to get is a representative of the church to come on the show and have a chat with you about it.
That'd be incredible.
Well, I'm going to extend that invitation now. I'm not going to hold my breath, but if you do want to come onto the show, please do. It won't be combative. We'll just have a chat about that, because I'd be very interested to know what people thought about it. So anyway, Nathan, what about you? What about your music? What's your style?
I would say it can be a little bit sad, but with a nice little glimmer of hope. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, we
Nothing
need that at the moment.
controversial. Nothing controversial.
Okay. Well, look, I really appreciate you all coming on and discussing this, because I think this is happening too often now. And I mean, final question: what is the way out of this? Because it does seem like, to give the example of Roisin Murphy, when she was cancelled, very few people within the industry said anything. A lot of people felt a bit scared, as in, if that happens to her, that might happen to us. That's understandable, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So then how do you break through that and get people to talk more about it?
I think you need to, first of all, support people that don't necessarily... You don't necessarily agree with everything they say, but are speaking out, and you know, agree to disagree with them, and just definitely don't apologise if you haven't done anything wrong.
I think that's a really key idea. I mean, we were just talking about a Finnish politician who's been prosecuted for quoting the Bible because she believes that she doesn't believe in gay marriage. well, I disagree with her,
Yeah.
but I know that if I don't fight for her right to say that, it will come back on all of us, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It is kind of the same thing, isn't it? It's a broader problem at stake here, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you all so much for coming on. It's been really fascinating to hear about your story. Whom by Fire, everyone.